Alright guys, welcome back to this week's video. So, Nintendo VR. Maybe? Seems kind of weird, but let's talk about it. Okay, so a lot of websites, a lot of videos I've seen have been talking about Nintendo VR. Why not? I guess. Nintendo can do whatever they want. Would it be nice though? I've seen VR on cell phones, and if your screen is really low res, or not at a certain, resolution, it doesn't look so good. Is Nintendo Switch screen good enough for VR, like this close? I don't think so. Maybe if they have a pro version and the screen gets updated to high resolution on the screen, yeah, that could be it. Maybe that's what the new model Nintendo's coming out with. You could use the regular model too, but it might not just look perfect, where maybe an updated screen would help make it look better. Now, it also seems weird. I think it'd look funny. You have cell phone ones where the phone fits in. And obviously that's probably what Nintendo would do, unless Nintendo does VR Labo, where they give you a VR game, maybe like Nintendo Land, where you play as the character in VR, and you have a bunch of VR games, and you make your own VR cardboard box. So, Nintendo Labo VR. That would probably be where Nintendo is probably going to go with that, because then there's a game for it, there's a box for it, and then other companies or Nintendo could maybe add VR support to some of their games. I don't know what Nintendo games would be VR that would be good. And at the same time, the screen doesn't have motion, so you couldn't move your head. The only thing I could imagine is maybe to play it, you would need 4 Joy-Cons. So you have to dock your Switch with the Joy-Cons inside the headgear so that the remote controls can capture movement maybe. And then you have to have another set in your hands to actually play the game. Which would kind of make it a little expensive if people don't have another set of Joy-Cons. I mean, to be fair, you probably do because you want to have more controllers for multiplayer. So it's probably likely. But I can't think them doing VR without the controllers inside the mask with it, so that the controllers can at least control the motion, and then the other controllers can play the game. If Nintendo did do VR, I think the Labo idea would probably be their cheapest way to get into it, to create a game with it that does VR, and then maybe sell a plastic headset later on if it picks up steam. I like it. I think if anyone could do VR good, it's probably Nintendo. Will the screen look good enough? Maybe not. But the one thing I do notice that games that are in a certain art style look pretty good even on PSVR, even if the resolution is low. Now, the frame rate of the Nintendo, could it handle fast enough frame rate so you don't get motion sickness? Maybe not, probably not. But if Nintendo makes games for it, they'll probably make it in a way where the motion sickness really isn't there as much. Maybe the games are designed a certain way to where you're not really doing fast movement. It's just more of a, you're sitting there and you're looking around a little bit. Or, I don't know, Mario Kart, where you can just sit in there and you're watching your car and you can look around the track to see cars that are coming by. Maybe. Odyssey? No. Breath of the Wild? That'd just be too weird, too much things going on. I think really it'd probably be them creating their own game first. Maybe an update to Nintendo Land VR, which I would love to see Nintendo Land brought to the Switch. I like it. Let them do it. If it doesn't work, oh well. The other thing I'd like to see them do is, imagine if they kind of released it as a multi-pack. You buy the VR unit and you get a collection of Virtual Boy games with it, so that way you can play Virtual Boy in VR and get the 3D look, maybe. Or you could just play on your screen and they take away that 3D. Because, I've never played Virtual Boy games. I don't even know if they're available on any of the eShops, but it'd be a cool way to kind of bring back a library that they don't really advertise too often. Yeah, it didn't do well, but sell like 5 of the games with the VR pack or something, or VR Labo, and kind of get people to say, hey, this is what VR looked like at one point. Yeah, who knows? Now, the other thing that I think would be interesting to see is if they not only did the VR and did a head mask for it, but if they kind of like worked it in a way where, you know, you could play multiplayer with people in the same room, I guess. Because obviously I don't think they'd create one where you'd sit down, like you could move around the room. I think it'd be more where you sit down and you can kind of move your head around with the Joy-Cons on it for it to look around, but not to actually walk around. Which probably saves them a lot of power. But at the same time, you know, 3 hours of gameplay on it probably wouldn't be that good. Which, who plays VR for more than 3 hours? So we'll just scratch the power of the thing. Like I was saying, I think it'd be cool if Nintendo did their own thing and use VR in a different way. They tend to do their own thing, and maybe they can make it work in a way that really, you know, brings VR to the forefront. I can't think of any Nintendo properties. You know, Metroid Prime might be kind of cool in VR, but obviously it would not be able to handle those graphics, so it wouldn't look that good. I mean, I played Skyrim in VR, and it's okay looking. It is fun, but if you start looking off to the sides, to me, myself, I don't like the way it looks, so I think they'd keep it more to, like, cartoony graphics. And I think it's perfectly fine. You know, Job Simulator looks awesome to play in VR. And I think that's the style they should go for. So maybe they take some of their classic games and they do a VR version of them to keep them in, like, a certain world. Maybe. Alright, guys. What do you think of VR? Do you think Nintendo could be onto something if they jump into the board? Or do you think Nintendo would probably just stay away from it and focus on maybe their online service or creating a new game? Alright, guys. Thanks for watching. Keep on gaming. If you liked the video, hit the button, subscribe, notifications, bells. You know, just check out everything. Alright, guys. Have a good night. Keep on gaming.